Hello, everybody, and welcome to Notorious Yu-Gi-Oh! I am Notorious Guy, and this is our crime episode of the Combo Compendium. I hope everyone brought your ski masks. In all seriousness, today we will be taking a look at Red, Lotus, Flame, King, Crime combos. And I want to mix in a short-ish discussion on what crime represents for Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend. If these discussion kind of things really aren't your style, and you're just here for the combos, please feel free to skip ahead. I have them in the timestamps for a reason. If you are here for my thoughts and a little bit of discussion, let's get into it. First and foremost, it's probably a bit too early to be making this video and making any definitive statements on crime, since crime does not have an official TCG release date yet. There's always the chance that more direct support or indirect support is announced and everything I'm about to say becomes outdated or even irrelevant. Secondly, I want to get out ahead of everything and say that I think crime is a very good card. But crime alone will not change the fate of Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend. RDA will still be an off-meta deck that is fun to play and decent enough to take the locals. The reason why I can say this with confidence is because crime just doesn't do enough on its own to pull the deck away from Crimson Resonator's grasp. Crime-centric combos are okay, but crime only ever represents one big telegraphed interaction in Red Rain and a single negate in Abyss. Crime combos that do not work their way to Crimson and Vision Resonator and Synchron Resonator via Crimson Resonator also don't generate any follow-up. You will need to have your board survive. That can help you keep pushing and eventually close out the game. Additionally, crime combos that do not look to incorporate Crimson Resonator still lose to almost all of the same interactions as the Crimson-centric combos. Playing in the background while I've been rambling should have been a one-card combo where Soul Resonator grabs Flame King Crime as its search target, and thus forsakes access to Crimson Resonator, and a 2.5 card combo where we also do the same. One thing I'd like to point out about both these combos is that, specifically with the one-card combo that ends on Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss and Red Rain, that combo loses to Nibiru. It takes exactly 5 summons to get to Abyss. And obviously, the 2.5 card combo goes even further than that. You still lose to Nibiru because you have to push past 5 summons to do anything meaningful. These combos also lose pretty hard to Imperm, Veiler, or Mourner on Red Rising Dragon. It loses to Ghost Bell on Red Rising's effect. And it loses to DD Crow on Soul Resonator, or your Red Rising Dragon's target in the graveyard. Assuming you have no other engine pieces in hand, this combo also theoretically loses to Ash, Imperm, or Veiler on Soul Resonator's normal summon search effect. The truth of the matter is, right now, all of the best combos that incorporate crime still require you to find and resolve Crimson Resonator's second effect. Producing big monsters, generating card advantage, setting up later interaction, and then winning the game after resolving Crimson Resonator's effect has never been an issue for an RDA. The biggest question for Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend has always been, what do you do? What can you even do if Crimson Resonator fails to resolve? Unfortunately for us, at the current moment, crime doesn't give a satisfactory answer to that. Some of you may be thinking right now, okay, so that was really negative. Thanks for taking the wind out of my sail about the new support card. So, Mr. Negative Nancy, what exactly is it about crime that even has you excited? Why, Notorious Clyde, do you even think crime is interesting? Soul, Vision, Bone, and Gaia were the first step along the path of breaking free from an over-reliance on Crimson Resonator. They are cards designed for the modern era, with an ability to function with or without Crimson. The foundation of a game plan that does not hinge on a single card resolving has been laid. Crime is another step in the right direction along that path. Crime is a card that can be used to help start or extend plays, depending on the situation, all while offering a secondary and complementary game plan. Crime and the other new support cards have shown me that Konami is willing to thoughtfully design cards for my favorite deck, and hopefully they keep it up. To me, that's what has me excited about crime. That's what makes crime interested to me. It's the fact that it is a very well thought out, well designed card that does not exist solely to fuel Crimson Resonator combos. It works with the Crimson Resonator combos, which is fantastic, but I can see a glimmer of a world where Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend does not play the Crimson Resonator roulette game. Before we move any further, I just want to clarify one thing here too. Crimson Resonator is my homie. I love that little dude. It's the card that got me all the way back into Yu-Gi-Oh! I am in no way advocating for Crimson to become irrelevant to the strategy. All I want is for the strategy to have meaningful lines of play without Crimson, or if Crimson can't resolve its effect. That's enough yapping. Let's get into the combos. As I mentioned earlier, playing in the background was the 1 card combo and the 2.5 card combo that forgoes access to Crimson Resonator. Here's what you can do with Crime if you're going to incorporate Crimson Resonator. For this 2 card combo, we are going to go ahead and start with Crimson Resonator and Soul Resonator, my favorite pairing of any combo ever. Simply because it's the old homie with the new homie. And we're going to go ahead and begin this combo by activating Crimson Resonator's effect to special summon itself from hand since we control no other monsters. We will then normal summon Soul Resonator. Soul Resonator effect, search, flame, king, crime. King, flame, crime. It's too much. It's way too much. I'm just going to call him crime. Next, we're going to activate the effect of crime to special summon itself. Then we will activate the effect of crime to burn our opponent for 800 life points. Then we will use the level 3 Soul Resonator and the level 3 crime for the synchro summon of Red Rising Dragon. And here we're going to do an interesting thing. We are going to elect to not use the effect of Red Rising Dragon. And we are only going to use the effect of Crime. Since it was used as a synchro material, we can send a normal trap from our deck to the graveyard. The main reason why we do not want to use Red Rising Dragon's effect here is because we want a level 6 non-tuner on board. And we want the only other monster we control to be a Dark Dragon Synchro monster, so we can attempt to resolve Crimson Resonator's second effect. So we're going to go ahead and dump Red Rain to the graveyard. All my Duel Links homies are familiar with this card. Then we're going to use Crimson Resonator's effect, since the only other monster we control is a Dark Dragon Synchro monster, to special summon up to 2 Resonators from our hand or deck. We always want to be pulling these guys from the deck. And we've got some more familiar faces here, Synchron and Vision. I'm sure you all know where this is going now. In case I haven't mentioned it before, pretty much all of your Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend combos attempt to get to the point in which you have a Dark Dragon Synchro monster plus Crimson Resonator on the graveyard, and then Crimson Resonator usually pulls Synchron or Vision Resonator out of the deck. Occasionally Soul will be in the mix too, but Soul just happens to be one of the best starters that we have the most access to, so usually it's there to start combos. But you'll be pulling Synchron, Vision, or Soul, any combination of the 3. Back to the combo. Next, we're going to Synchro Summon using Vision Resonator and Red Rising Dragon for Scar Red Dragon Archfiend. Vision Resonator's effect will go off here, and we can go ahead and add a Spell Trap Dimensions Red Dragon Archfiend specifically from our deck to our hand. It's also worth mentioning here that I failed to do this on the replay, but we can also activate the effect of Red Rain at this point. Since we summoned a Dark Dragon Synchro monster, we can attempt to add Red Rain from our graveyard back to our hand. I missed it while I was doing the combo for the replay, but it doesn't matter because we're going to Synchro Summon again. Next, we're going to go ahead and Synchro Summon using Scar Red Dragon Archfiend and Crimson Resonator for Bestial the Spotter. And since we summoned a Dark Dragon Synchro monster, I'm going to remember here that we need to do Red Rain, and I'm going to chain that on top of the Scar Red Dragon Archfiend effect. Since it was sent to the graveyard as synchro material, we can go ahead and special summon a Red Dragon Archfiend from our extra deck and is treated as a synchro summon. And if our opponent has any attack position monsters, we can also blow them up. So we're going to add the Red Rain back to our hand and summon that Red Dragon Archfiend from the extra deck. Next, we're going to use Synchron Resonator and the Red Dragon Archfiend for the synchro summon of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. And then Synchron's going to go ahead and target a Resonator in our graveyard, other than Synchron, add it back to hand. We can go ahead and add any of the other Resonators in our graveyard back to our hand at this point. Since we're not going to be ending with a Red Dragon Archfiend or a monster that specifically mentions it on the field, Soul Resonator's protection effect isn't going to be live. There's always the option that something like Crimson Gaia makes it live by a monster being destroyed, and Crimson Gaia can summon the Scar Red Dragon or the Red Dragon Archfiend from our graveyard back to the field. But I don't think that's a guarantee that it will happen on the next turn. So my ideal pick for this situation in a vacuum would be to grab the Soul Resonator back to hand, grab the starter. That way, if our board gets wiped, Crimson Gaia is gone, we at least have some sort of follow-up play guaranteed. Again, it's a very long-winded way of saying, read the game state, make an educated decision. Pick the Resonator that best suits the situation. So I'm going to go ahead and add that Soul Resonator back to my hand. Then we're going to activate Crimson Gaia, activate the effect of Crimson Gaia, and we have two choices here. We can attempt to add Red Zone to our hand, or we can add the Fiendish Golem. Both of these are completely valid to add, and both of them add different things to the end board. Again, this will be a point in which you need to read the game state, understand what your opponent is playing if you can, and make an educated decision on what is going to be the best way to interact with them. Red Zone will not have its popped effect because we do not have a Red Dragon Archfiend or a monster that specifically mentions it on our field. However, we can use Red Zone to go ahead and summon back one of our banished Dark Dragon Synchro monsters. This is important because we have Red Rain. Red Rain is going to banish all monsters on the field except for the monster with the highest level. Bystial Despoter is a level 10. Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss is a level 9. If we are in a position where our opponent forces the Red Rain before we have used the Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss effect, if we elected to grab something like Red Zone, we can always use Red Zone, use the effect to bring back a banished Dark Dragon Synchro monster, and then now we have our Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss effect back again. Again, that's only if you haven't used it. Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss is a hard once per turn, meaning you can only use the effect of Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss once. It's not like Supernova where it's soft. You can only use the effect once per turn. Doesn't matter if it's a second copy or not. So that's the use case for Red Zone. Again, there's also the chance that a Straggler RDA from our graveyard ends up on the field via the effect of Crimson Gaia, but that's not a guarantee. Fiendish Golem is a valid choice in this situation because we have Bystial Despoter, but we have not found a way to banish a monster on our turn, meaning our Bystial Despoter is essentially a 3500 vanilla. It does nothing until the card is banished. We will have the ability to banish monsters or banish cards via Red Rain. However, doing that leaves us a little vulnerable. It makes our interactions a little more linear and a little more static. They will have to be used in a very specific way, and that may not be the best way to interact with our opponent. There may be a chance that you want to use the Fiendish Golem to banish a monster with 2000 more attack, to turn on our Bystial Despoter and make Despoter live and dangerous before we use the Red Rain. Again, this is something you'll just have to use your dueling abilities to decide. I'm going to elect to go ahead and grab the Red Zone here. I accidentally sent it to Graveyard. Please ignore that. Red Zone is going to be added to hand off the Crimson Gaia. In a vacuum, I like the ability to go ahead and essentially protect that Abyss by banishing it with Red Rain, hopefully banishing something of our opponents as well, and then bringing it back with the Red Zone. Additionally, since Crimson Gaia is on the field, there is always a small chance that a Red Dragon Archfiend or Scar Red Dragon Archfiend, who becomes Red Dragon Archfiend, finds its way back to our field. All that's left to do is set the Red Zone, set the Red Rain, and then win the game on our opponent's turn. And that is essentially what Flame King Crime can do. It adds a very powerful interaction to our board and helps make our board a little more layered and a little more difficult to interact with. All right, let's go to our next combo. Our next combo is going to be a 2.5 card combo featuring Soul Resonator and Crime or Bone Archfiend. It can be Crime or Bone Archfiend. It doesn't matter which one because Soul Resonator is going to search the other one. Additionally, we will need any other card in our hand to discard. That card is going to be represented by Sube. First, we're going to begin the only way we know how, and normal summon Soul Resonator. Soul Resonator effect, search Bone Archfiend. If we opened Soul and Bone Archfiend, we would search the Flame King Crime here. King Flame Crime. I'm never going to get that right. I just need to keep calling it Crime. Then we're going to go ahead and use Bone Archfiend's effect, send any other card in our hand to the graveyard except Flame King Crime. That's the one we need to maintain. Then special summon Bone Archfiend. Next, we're going to go Bone Archfiend, and we're going to do something a little different. We're going to target Bone Archfiend with its own effect. The main reason why we want to do that is in case something goes awry, middle of the combo, or we're playing into our opponent's board, we will still have the Soul Resonator and the Flame King Crime, whose level is equal 6, which can get us to Red Rising Dragon. If we use Bone Archfiend targeting Soul Resonator to decrease its level to make Soul Resonator 2, if something were to ever happen to that Bone Archfiend, for say like a Ghost Ogre, or your opponent has something on their board that can destroy Bone Archfiend, we will be left with a level 2 Soul Resonator and a level 3 Flame King Crime, which does next to nothing for us at the moment. So now that Bone Archfiend is going to successfully resolve, there's the boy. We're going to dump Crimson Resonator from deck to graveyard. Then we're going to go ahead and denote that Bone Archfiend is level 3. And we're going to synchro summon for Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising is going to target Crimson. And we're at the sweet spot, baby. Crimson Resonator effect, special Synchron, special Vision. We're going to go ahead and special the Crime. And then we're going to use the Crime effect here, only burning for 400 since we only control one fire monster with different names. And then we're going to use the Vision Resonator, and a new wrinkle in the combo has emerged. The level 3 Flame King Crime for the synchro summon of the level 5 Dark Dragon Synchro. I will give you $1 right now if you can name it. I believe there's only one in the game. It's Samsara, Dragon of Rebirth. Next, we're going to go ahead and activate the effect of Vision Resonator or Crime. It doesn't matter which one you activate as Chainlink 1 or Chainlink 2. If you get this deep into your combo and your opponent hasn't hand trapped you already, if they did not stop you from getting to Crimson Resonator or resolving Crimson Resonator, they have made a vital, grave error and they will regret it. So put them in whatever chain link order you want. Just know that you're activating both Crime and Vision. We're going to dump the Red Rain. We're going to add the Crimson Gaia. And then we're going to go ahead and use the Synchron Resonator and the level 5 Samsara Dragon of Rebirth for the synchro summon of a second Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising Dragon is going to go ahead and target... I believe I target the wrong monster here. I think I targeted Vision with Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising Dragon is actually supposed to target Soul. Please forgive my fat fingers on DB. Red Rising Dragon targets Soul Resonator, and then Synchron Resonator also goes off in Graveyard. It's going to target the Vision and add the Vision back to hand. So Red Rising target Crimson, Synchron target Vision, Vision back to hand, Soul on field. Next, we're going to go ahead and synchro summon using the Soul and Red Rising for Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. And then Red Rain can go ahead and add itself back to your hand here. I believe in this combo too, I also missed a Red Rain trigger, but it doesn't matter. Again, if you get this deep into your combo and your opponent hasn't Nibiru'd you yet, hasn't hand trapped you yet, it doesn't matter. You're going to keep putting out Dark Dragon Synchros. You're going to keep getting opportunities to bring Red Rain back to your hand. Then we're going to use the Red Rising Dragon and Crimson Resonator for the synchro summon of Scar Red Dragon Archfiend. We will special summon Vision Resonator since we have a level 5 or higher Dark Monster on the field. We're going to synchro summon using the Scar Red and the Vision for Bestial Spotter. And then we're going to have Scar Red Dragon's effect go off, and we're going to special summon, treat it as a synchro summon, the Red Dragon Archfiend. Next, we're going to activate Crimson Gaia, activate the effect of Crimson Gaia, and we're going to add Red Zone here. This is a scenario in which I believe grabbing Red Zone almost all the time is correct, and that's because we have Red Dragon Archfiend on the field. Do not forget about Red Dragon Archfiend's effect. It is mandatory. Once per turn, during your end phase, destroy all other monsters you control that did not declare an attack this turn. That effect goes off. It is mandatory. It goes off during the end phase, even if it's your first turn, even if there's no battle phase. You have monsters that didn't attack. They gotta go. However, we have managed to put the Soul Resonator in grave, so we will be protected. No worries, no fears. So Red Zone is always correct here, because the Soul Resonator will banish itself, and we will have Bestial Spotter live. Additionally, we have the Red Rain, so there's going to be more cards banished too. I think Fiendish Golem is almost a little redundant at this point. I think we get more out of the Red Zone. Then we're going to go ahead and set Red Zone, set Red Rain, end phase, mandatory effect of Red Dragon Archfiend, banish Soul at the point of resolution, since it's a replacement effect. And then we will pass turn. And then we have Red Zone, Red Rain, Abyss, Alive Despotter, and a Red Dragon Archfiend looking menacingly. There it is, another crime combo down. Let's go to one more. This combo is one of my favorites because it has a bit of nostalgia factor with it. It's going to be a 2-card combo featuring Crimson Resonator and Wandering King Wildwind. Just one note about this combo, Wandering King Wildwind could also be Supe Duskwalker, since Supe Duskwalker can just discard Crimson Resonator, special Supe, synchro for Red Rising bring Crimson back, and end up in the same spot that we will with Wildwind and Crimson. I elected to showcase Wildwind here, one for nostalgia factor. Crimson Wildwind combos were the move for the longest time, and I was exploring everything you could do with different starting hands, and wanted to test the use cases for potentially adding more Wildwind back to the deck. Alright, let's begin. Crimson Resonator effect, special summon. Wildwind, special summon, synchro, Red Rising Dragon, and Red Rising Dragon target Crimson Resonator. Again, that could have been Supe. We would have ended up in the same exact spot without having the need for an additional card, because Supe can just discard the Crimson Resonator. Crimson Resonator effect, we will special summon Soul Resonator this time, and Vision Resonator. Soul Resonator effect will go off on special summon, and we will add Crime to our hand. We will go ahead and synchro summon using the Vision Resonator and the Red Rising Dragon for Scar Red Dragon Archfiend. Next, we will use the effect of Vision Resonator to add the Crimson Gaia from deck to hand. We'll go ahead and use Scar Red Dragon Archfiend and Crimson Resonator for the Synchro Summon of Bestial the Spotter. Scar Red Dragon Archfiend will go off here, and we will Synchro Summon the Red Dragon Archfiend from the extra deck via Scar Red's effect. We will activate the Effect of Crime. Then we will use the Effect of Crime to burn for 800 life points. Then we will use Crime and Soul Resonator to go ahead and Synchro Summon Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising effect will go ahead and target the Soul Resonator, and Crime effect will go ahead and elect to dump the Red Rain from deck to graveyard. I don't think the chain links matter here again. If you get this deep into the combo, your opponent doesn't have any hand traps, or they don't know what they're dealing with, and that's going to be an issue for them anyways. So we're going to special back that Soul Resonator, dump the Red Rain, Synchro Summon for Howard Dragon Archfiend Abyss, and then we will have the ability to add the Red Rain back to our hand. We'll activate Crimson Gaia, and we will grab the Red Zone, and same situation as last combo. Since we have the OG Red Dragon Archfiend on the field and the Soul Resonator in the graveyard, we're going to have a card banished during the RN phase, so Bestial the Spotter will be lived, meaning we will get more utility out of the Red Zone than Fiendish Golem, so I believe grabbing Red Zone is correct. There may be individual instances in which Fiendish Golem is correct, but that's up to you to use your big dueling brain to figure out. Next, we're going to go ahead and set our 2 trap cards, and then Red Dragon Archfiend will go off in the end phase. Soul, at the resolution of the effect, will banish itself to protect all cards that would be destroyed. And then on our opponent's turn, we have the ability to win the duel with our back row, with our monsters, and with whatever is left in our hand. Friendly reminder, you will have 3 cards, at minimum, left in your hand. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for today's episode. Hopefully all of you enjoyed this, hopefully all of you enjoyed the discussion, and hopefully you found some good information from these combos. Again, still a little too early to probably be making this video, but I really wanted to get out there because I'm very excited for Crime to come, and I'm hoping that Crime brings some friends. Crime's always better when you have a partner. What can I say? Thanks again for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next one. Be safe, have fun.